Hi, everybody. This is Steve at Restoring Hope Counseling and Coaching. Thank you so much for taking the next few minutes of this in this video to learn more information about how to help you manage your own anxiety. I hope that you've watched the previous videos that really set the foundation for what we're doing today, and I've taught on some other thinking patterns that really generate and sustain anxiety. And so please watch those videos if you have not, as I think you will identify easily with some of the thinking patterns that you experience as you have experienced some anxiety. And so today, what I want to talk about is a really a third really pretty common thinking pattern that generates and sustains anxiety, and that is when we are concluding that we don't have enough resources to really overcome some obstacle, or we don't have the ability to overcome some dilemma. So let me give you a couple examples of what I mean here. So as you are thinking about your finances and planning your finances out for next month, it is very possible that you may conclude that you have, let's say, $5,000 of expenses next month. And as you figure out how much income you can anticipate bringing in next month, let's say that you determine that you only have $3,000 of income next month. And so you have the need of $5,000 of expenses, but you only have enough resources to pay $3,000 of them. If you find yourself in that dilemma, then that creates anxiety because you're concluding that you don't have enough resources to overcome this obstacle. In some cases, that's true. Okay. And in the cases that we don't have enough resources to overcome some obstacle, whether it be finances or relationships or something of that nature, when we conclude that we really don't have enough resources, and if we truly don't have enough resources, that creates anxiety. And so in those cases, what we do with people in my office when they come in is I help them problem solve. So in the case of finances, well, what are some ways that you can maybe generate more income? Let's think about that. Let's try to problem solve. Or what are some ways to decrease your expenses below $5,000? Or what are some ways to decrease your expenses and increase your income so they can meet somewhere in the middle? So we just try to problem solve. Sometimes what I find, and really probably most of the time, is that people draw conclusions, and I have done this too, that we draw conclusions that we don't have enough resources, but we haven't really looked into in a particular situation. We haven't looked into whether or not we actually have the resources. So I've had a number of people come in to be anxious or stressed about their financial situation. Let's just continue to use that example. And so people will come in and say, "Well, Steve, I have $4,000 of expenses this month and only $3,500 coming in." I'll say, "Well, have you determined that, or is that just what you think might happen?" And quite a few people will say, "Well, I haven't really sat down to do the math to figure it out. This is what I believe to be true." Okay, well, why don't we kind of determine really what is going on here? Let's actually get some information. And so I'll often send people away for homework, or we'll do it in my office with me to talk about, well, let's figure out your expenses, let's figure out your income. And probably the majority of the time, after we do all that math and after we figure it out, what people find out is that they do have enough resources to overcome the obstacle. And when they can conclude and see the data in front of them that they do have enough money to meet their financial obligations, not surprisingly, their anxiety levels come down. Why? Because they're able to change the conclusions that they've drawn in their head. So let me give you another example, not related to finances. So I know a guy that I've seen in counseling who was facing a lot of emotional challenges. So within about a 3 month period of time, he learned his father was dying of cancer, and he eventually did pass away. He learned that his father-in-law was dying of cancer, and he eventually did pass away. And his mother had a heart attack and died and was resuscitated, was on life support for a week while his father and father-in-law were declining in health. Um, and she has survived. She got off life support, and she's doing pretty well at the moment. And so during this time in which he was watching the two most influential men in his life decline in health and eventually pass away, and trying to help take care of his mother with his family. This was very, very, very stressful to him, mostly because he was concluding in his head that he didn't have enough emotional resources to overcome this dilemma and these difficulties. And so he that created anxiety. And so we talked a lot about let's problem solve this. Let's figure out how to just kind of get through each day, and how he can lean on other people to help him deal with these situations as they came up. And so that's essentially he did. And it was still a stressful time, but his anxiety levels around these issues came way, way down. Why? Because I was able to talk with him about, and he was able to apply how to problem solve these situations, how to just think in a smaller framework, meaning not be thinking about so much what would happen after his father-in-law died, but actually just kind of getting through the day and leaning on other people. So that's another example of sometimes those kinds of situations in which then we conclude we don't have enough resources, in this case, emotional resources to overcome. All that leads to anxiety. And so as I talk with people about this in my office, again, some of the things that I do to help in these situations is to really assess if the individual's conclusions are really true, or if they're just assuming these things are true. If they are not true, then we begin to look at challenging the assumptions that the person is making. If they are true, then we look to problem solve these issues. And in both cases, many times what I find is as people really work through this, their anxiety levels begin to come down. So you can probably identify situations in your life in which you've done this. And so I would just encourage you to challenge your assumptions. And if your assumptions turn out to be true, then work to problem solve the situations. And then what you'll find is that your anxiety levels will begin to decrease. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful to you today. If we can be of any more help to you, feel free to reach out to us through our website, which is located at www.restoringhopecc.com. And there will be a place on the front page where you can contact one of the therapists. You can email one of us, or you can send information just to the company in general, and we will respond to you very, very quickly. So again, hopefully this was helpful to you. In our next video, we'll close out the series on anxiety. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.